My girlfriend's parrot kept saying, "I love you, Kevin," in her voice. She denied it, so I brought the bird in the room. It squawked, "Don't tell Mark." She was left pale, frantically trying to silence the bird. I 32, male, thought Sarah 30, and I were happy. We've been together for 4 years, living together for 2. The apartment is more mine than ours, if I'm being honest. I was here first. My name is the primary on the lease, and I furnished most of it. But when she and Mango, her African gray parrot, moved in, it finally felt like a home. Mango is a character. Smart, loud, and obsessed with Sarah. He mimics her perfectly. Her laugh, the way she says hello when she answers the phone, even the little hum she does when she's watering her plants. It started subtly. A few months ago, I'd be in my home office and hear it. A soft cooing, "I love you, Kevin." It was Sarah's voice, unmistakably. The first time I smiled. I figured it was a line from a show she was watching, but it kept happening. Always when she was in the living room with Mango, usually when she thought I was on a call. "I love you, Kevin," sometimes followed by a kissy sound. A sound I knew well. I asked her about it. "Hey, who's Kevin?" Mango keeps saying he loves him. She laughed it off a little too quickly, maybe. "Oh, it's a character from that period drama I was binging. You know, the one with all the dukes. He must have picked it up." Silly bird. I let it go. It seemed plausible. Sarah watches a lot of TV. But the name Kevin didn't fit with a show about 18th century aristocrats. I looked up the cast of her favorite show. No Kevin. Not even a minor character. The seed of doubt was planted. I started paying more attention. She was jumpier with her phone, angling the screen away from me. She started going to the gym at odd hours, coming home not sweaty but smelling faintly of a cologne that wasn't mine. It was a musky sandalwood scent, completely different from the clean, citrusy one I wear. The "I love you," Kevin continued. It became a knot in my stomach. I felt like I was going crazy, second-guessing myself. Was I being paranoid? Jealous over a bird misquoting a TV show? Then came the clincher. 2 weeks ago, I was working late when Sarah texted me. "Hey, gonna be late. Grabbing drinks with Amy from work. Don't wait up." Around 9 p.m., I went to the kitchen for a glass of water. Mango was in his cage, preening. As I walked past, he puffed up his chest and said in Sarah's exact sultry tone, "Miss you already, Kevin." My blood ran cold. That wasn't from a TV show. That was intimate. That was real. I knew then. I didn't know who Kevin was, but I knew he was real. My mind raced. How do you confront someone about this? My girlfriend's parrot told me she's cheating. Sounds like the setup for a bad joke. Any denial from her would make me look insane. I needed something more, something undeniable. I waited. I acted normal. We had our usual dinners. We watched our shows. I kissed her goodnight, a hollow gesture that tasted like ash. The whole time I was watching, listening. Last night was her book club. She hosts it once a month. Her friends, a gaggle of wine-loving, aspiring novelists, were over. They were loud, laughing, and 3 bottles of rose deep. Perfect. While she was in the kitchen getting more cheese for the charcuterie board, I walked into the living room. Her friends all greeted me warmly. "Hey, Mark, Sarah was just telling us about your promotion. Congrats," one of them said. I smiled. "Thanks, I appreciate it. Hey, I wanted to show you guys something hilarious. Mango has learned a new phrase, and it's a riot." I walked over to the cage. Mango bobbed his head, intrigued by the audience. I gave him a piece of almond, his favorite. "Okay, buddy," I said, loud enough for Sarah to hear from the kitchen. "Do the thing." Mango looked at me, then at the women on the couch, and in a pitch-perfect imitation of Sarah's loving, private voice, he squawked, "I love you, Kevin." Her friends giggled. "Oh, who's Kevin?" one asked. Before I could answer, Sarah rushed back in, a block of cheddar in her hand. Her face was ashen. "He just picks things up from the TV," she said. Her voice strained. "It's nothing." She was rattled. I could see it. I just needed one more push. I looked at Mango. "TV? Is that all you know, buddy? What else do you know? And then the universe delivered. Mango, perhaps sensing the tension, perhaps just being a bird, puffed his feathers again. And in a conspiratorial whisper, also in Sarah's voice, he squawked, "Don't tell Mark." The room went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Sarah's friends stared, their smiles frozen. Sarah looked like she'd seen a ghost. She dropped the cheese. It hit the floor with a dull thud. She lunged for the cage, frantically trying to cover it with its nighttime blanket. "Bad bird. Bad, stupid bird," she hissed, her hands shaking. But the damage was done. Her friends were looking from her, to me, to the bird. The pieces were clicking into place in their minds. The frantic denial, the panicked look, the bird's damning words. It was all there. I just stood there. I didn't have to say a word. I just looked at her, my girlfriend of 4 years, and watched her world crumble around her. Betrayed by the one creature she thought she could trust. She's locked herself in our bedroom. Her friends left in a hurry, whispering awkward goodbyes. I'm on the couch. I can hear her crying. And every so often, from the living room, I hear Mango practicing his new favorite phrase. "Don't tell Mark. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I know it's over. I just need to figure out how to untangle our lives." Thank you for the support on my last post. Reading your comments has been a strange source of comfort. It's validating to know I'm not insane. The last few days have been quiet, tense. After her friends left, Sarah came out of the bedroom. She tried to backtrack. She said Mango was just stringing random words together. She said Kevin was her cousin, and she was practicing a loving tone for a family video message. The lies were so flimsy, so desperate, it was almost pathetic. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I just said, "Sarah, please stop." The fight went out of her then. She just slumped onto the armchair and stared at me. Her expression wasn't remorseful. It was calculating. I could see her trying to figure out her next move, how to spin this. I told her I needed some space and that she should arrange to stay somewhere else for a few days. This apparently was the wrong thing to say. "You're kicking me out?" she said, her voice rising. "Over a bird? Mark, this is my home, too." "Is it, Sarah?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. "Is that why you brought another man into it?" That shut her up. She packed a bag and left, slamming the door so hard the frame shook. She didn't take Mango. The silence in the apartment has been deafening. I spent the first day just walking through the rooms, touching things. The coffee table we bought together. The stupid, overpriced lamp she had to have. It all feels tainted now. I found myself looking at old photos, trying to pinpoint the moment it changed. The answer, I suspect, is that it was changing for a long time before I noticed. Yesterday, I did some digging. It wasn't hard. Her laptop was still logged into our shared cloud account. In a folder mislabeled Work Projects, I found what I was looking for. Photos. Dozens of them. Sarah and a guy I vaguely recognized from her office Christmas party. Kevin. They were on a trip to the coast. The one she told me was a solo wellness retreat. There they were, smiling, kissing, arms around each other. In one photo, Kevin is wearing my favorite gray hoodie, the one that went missing 6 months ago. Seeing the pictures didn't hurt as much as I expected. The Parrot had already done the real damage. This was just confirmation. Cold, hard evidence. I downloaded everything to a secure drive and then deleted the folder from the cloud. The most telling detail, her phone bill. We're on a family plan. Took me 5 minutes to log in and look at the call history. Hundreds of calls and texts to the same number. A quick search of the number brought up a name. Kevin Miller. His social media profile was public. I scrolled through it. There he was, in post after post, living a life parallel to mine. He had pictures at the same restaurant Sarah and I went to, posted just days after we'd been there. He was a ghost in my relationship and I'd been paying the phone bill for his affair. Last night, I got a text from Sarah. "Mark, can we please talk? I miss you. This is all a huge misunderstanding." I didn't reply. About an hour later, the buzzer rang. I ignored it. Then a key in the lock. It was Sarah. She let herself in, followed by Kevin. I was sitting on the couch, calmly reading a book. I didn't look up. Mark, we need to talk about this, she said, her voice firm, like she was the one who had been wronged. Kevin, a tall guy with an unearned air of confidence, stood behind her, arms crossed. He had the audacity to look annoyed. Look, man, he started. This has all been blown way out of proportion. I finally looked up. I looked at Kevin. Then I looked down at his feet. He was wearing a pair of muddy Adidas sneakers. They were on the new rug I bought just last month. Take your shoes off, I said. He blinked. What? You're tracking mud on my rug. Take them off. And you, I said, turning to Sarah, can leave your key on the counter when you go. Sarah scoffed. I'm not going anywhere. I live here. Half of this stuff is mine. Is it? I asked, keeping my tone even. Let's talk about that. The lease is in my name. The security deposit, all $2,850 of it, was paid from my bank account before you moved in. Most of this furniture was purchased by me also before you moved in. You pay a portion of the rent to me each month, which technically makes you a subletter without a formal agreement. I've already spoken to the landlord. You have 30 days to vacate. The color drained from her face. Kevin looked stunned. You can't do that, she sputtered. I can, I said. And I am. I'll be happy to prorate this month's rent for you. Now get out of my apartment. Kevin stepped forward. Hey, you can't just talk to her like that. I can talk to her however I want in my own home, I replied, standing up. A home you've clearly been spending time in. By the way, I love that hoodie you're wearing in your profile picture from October. It looks familiar. His smug demeanor vanished. He knew that I knew. Sarah started to cry. Theatrical, loud sobs. After everything we've been through, you'd throw me out on the street? My friends, my family? What will I tell them? You probably should have thought about that before you started sleeping with Kevin, I said. I walked over to the door and opened it. Your 30 days start now. I suggest you use them to find a new place to live and to find a new story, because the Parrot one is getting old. They left. Sarah was still crying. Kevin just looked angry. She forgot her key. I picked it up from the counter and double-bolted the door. I'm sitting here now with Mango. He's quietly munching on a piece of apple. It's funny. The animal in the cage is the most honest one in the room. The past 2 weeks have been a masterclass in manipulative tactics and entitled behavior. Sarah and Kevin seem to believe that if they just apply enough pressure, I'll crack. They're learning that I don't crack. I document. First came the texts, a flood of them. From Sarah. They were a bizarre mix of pleading. I made a terrible mistake. I love you, not him. And threats. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. You can't just evict me. From Kevin, they were just pathetic. You're ruining her life over this. You need to be a man and forgive her. She said you were always controlling. I didn't reply to a single one. Instead, I took screenshots of all of them saved to the same secure drive. Then the social campaign started. Sarah's best friend, Amy, the one she was supposedly having drinks with, called me. Mark, I don't know what you did to her, but Sarah is a wreck, she said, her voice dripping with accusation. She told me you threw her out after a misunderstanding with her parrot. A parrot? Mark, she needs her things. She needs her bird. Amy, I said calmly, were you with Sarah 2 weeks ago on Tuesday night? A slight pause. Yes, we went for drinks. That's funny, I said, because her phone shows she was at the Marriott downtown from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. We enabled location sharing on our phones years ago after she got lost on a hike. A just-in-case measure she clearly forgot was still active. Did you guys have drinks there? Silence. Then a flustered, I have to go. She hung up. The real evidence came from an unexpected place. We have an old tablet that stays in the kitchen, mostly used for recipes. I was about to wipe it clean when I noticed it was still logged into an email account of hers, a junk account she used for online shopping. A quick search for Kevin brought up a hotel booking confirmation from 2 weeks prior, the Marriott downtown. Check-in 7 p.m. paid for by one Kevin Miller. She'd forwarded the confirmation to him with the message, see you there. Don't be late. The digital smoking gun. Sarah sent me a formal-looking email, CCing Kevin, why I have no idea, demanding access to the apartment to retrieve her belongings. She included a long list of items she claimed were hers. The 65-inch TV, the espresso machine, the leather armchair. The list was ambitious. I spent an evening going through my credit card statements from the last 5 years. I highlighted every single furniture and electronics purchase. I created a spreadsheet. Then I replied to her email, CCing Kevin, of course. Subject: Retrieval of personal items. Sarah, you may retrieve your personal belongings on Saturday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Please be punctual. For clarity, I have attached a list of items confirmed to be your property based on my financial records. Attached was my spreadsheet. Her list was short: a yoga mat, 2 lamps from Target, a collection of novels, her clothes, and mango. The email continued: the television, espresso machine, and armchair were purchased by me prior to your moving in. Please see attached receipts. You are also welcome to the half-empty bottle of ketchup in the fridge and the wilting basil plant on the windowsill. As for Mango, he is your property, and you are expected to take him with you. Failure to retrieve him will result in my contacting an animal rescue organization, as I am not equipped for his long-term care. I also have several items of yours here: a man's gray hoodie, a pair of Adidas sneakers, size 11, and a half-used bottle of sandalwood cologne. You can pick those up as well. Mark. The response was immediate and furious. A string of texts calling me petty and cruel. But the message was clear. I had the receipts, literally. This past Saturday was moving day. I had a friend, Tom, come over to act as a witness. As expected, Sarah showed up with Kevin in tow. He tried to act like the big man, directing her on what to pack. They walked in, and the first thing Sarah saw was Mango's cage. "Oh, my poor baby," she cooed, rushing over. Mango just stared at her. "Hello, Sarah," he squawked in my voice. I'd been working with him. She flinched. Kevin shot me a dirty look. They packed her things. It was awkward and tense. Kevin kept making snide remarks. "Can't believe he's keeping the TV. So small of him." At one point, Sarah walked over to the bookshelf. "I'm taking these," she said, grabbing a stack of my prized first edition hardcovers. "No, you're not," I said, not looking up from my phone where I was documenting the entire process via video. "Those are mine. A gift from my father. We're a couple. What's yours is mine," she shot back, her voice high and strained. "We were a couple, Sarah," I corrected her gently. "And your name isn't on the receipt." She slammed the books down. Kevin put his arm around her. "Let's just go, babe. We don't need his charity." They packed her clothes and the few items that were actually hers. Finally, they moved to the parrot cage. It was large and awkward. "I can't believe you're doing this to him," she said tearfully to me, gesturing at Mango. "He's a sensitive animal. This move is going to traumatize him." "He'll be with you," I said flatly. "I'm sure he'll be fine." As Kevin and a reluctant Sarah struggled to get the cage through the doorway, Mango, in perfect imitation of her voice, chirped, "Bye-bye, Kevin." Kevin froze, his knuckles white on the metal bars. Sarah's face was a perfect mask of horror. She yanked the cage out into the hallway and slammed the door. It struck me then that it wasn't a clever retort from the bird. It was just a recording, a phrase he'd likely heard her say dozens of times, as she ended a hushed phone call right here in our home. I'm left here in my blessedly quiet, half-empty apartment. Feels bigger, cleaner. It's not over. I know she still has 10 days left officially, and I still have one last loose end to tie up. The company where we all work. It's done. The 30 days are up. Sarah is gone. Kevin is gone. The silence in my apartment is no longer deafening. It's peaceful. The final act of this drama didn't happen in my living room, but in the sterile, beige conference room of our company's human resources department. This was the part one dreaded, but also the part one knew was necessary. Sarah, Kevin, and I all work for the same large corporation, different departments, but our paths cross. Kevin is a senior manager in Sarah's direct chain of command. A week after she moved out, I started hearing whispers at work. The story, as spun by Sarah, was that I was an abusive, controlling monster who had a psychotic break and threw her out over a joke her parrot made. She was playing the victim card with masterful skill. People were looking at me differently in the hallways. I was getting iced out of casual conversations. This was the move I was waiting for. Her lies had now crossed a professional boundary. I compiled everything. The screenshots of the texts, the damning photo of Kevin in my hoodie, the phone bill, the hotel confirmation from the tablet, the receipts for my furniture, the video of them moving out. I also wrote a calm, factual one-page summary of the situation, focusing only on the workplace implications. A senior manager, Kevin, was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate, Sarah, and they were now collectively creating a hostile environment for another employee, me, by spreading malicious rumors. I requested a meeting with HR, citing a need to discuss a potential conflict of interest and hostile work environment. I walked into that meeting with my binder of evidence. The head of HR, a woman named Brenda with a reputation for being painstakingly thorough, sat across from me, looking skeptical. I calmly laid out the timeline, presented my evidence, and explained how their personal actions were now impacting my professional life. I never raised my voice. I just presented the facts. When I got to the part about Kevin being her direct supervisor, Brenda's expression shifted. That was the magic word. The company has a strict zero-tolerance policy on manager-subordinate relationships. They have to be disclosed. Theirs obviously was not. Brenda thanked me for bringing this to her attention and assured me it would be investigated immediately. Over the next week, the investigation proceeded quietly but efficiently. Kevin was called into a meeting with Brenda and the company's legal counsel. I wasn't there, but I heard about it from a colleague in HR. Apparently, Kevin tried to deny everything. He said I was fabricating it all out of jealousy. So Brenda, following procedure, asked for his company phone and laptop. And there it was. Inappropriate emails, Slack messages, photos, everything. He had been using company property to conduct his affair. Cardinal sin. The fallout was swift. Kevin was fired immediately for violating company policy and lying during an internal investigation. Sarah wasn't fired, but she was given a formal warning and moved to a different department on a different floor with a stern lecture on workplace professionalism. The official reason for her departmental move was restructuring, but everyone knew the truth. Her reputation was shot. The people who had been giving me the cold shoulder were now avoiding her. The narrative she had so carefully crafted had been dismantled by a single, well-organized binder. The last I heard, she and Kevin are living in a cramped one-bedroom apartment across town. Her friend Amy told my friend Tom that they fight constantly, mostly about money. Now that Kevin is unemployed, Sarah had to sell her car to cover their security deposit. I came home last week to a final, pathetic piece of mail addressed to Sarah. It was a bill from a veterinarian. Apparently, Mango had been so stressed by the move and the constant fighting that he had started plucking his own feathers out. She had to take him in for anxiety. The irony is so thick I could choke on it. As for me, I'm good. Better than good. I took a week off work and deep cleaned the apartment. I rearranged the furniture, bought a new, very comfortable armchair, and a state-of-the-art espresso machine. I changed our family phone plan and our premium Spotify account password. The small vestiges of her are gone. The quiet feels good. Feels like peace. The pain of the betrayal is still there. A faint scar, but it doesn't ache anymore. It's just a reminder of a lesson learned. I don't feel vengeful or victorious. I just feel free. I took a situation where I was deeply wronged, and I didn't get hysterical. I got organized. I let their own actions and entitlement be their undoing. I just provided the documentation. Last night, I was making dinner, and for a moment, I thought I heard a faint, "I love you, Kevin." I froze, but it was just the TV. I smiled, turned it off, and enjoyed the silence.